I'm not standing where I usually stand. I'm standing where our extraordinary cantor Beth stands. Beth has been ill for most of the week and is so determined to be here tomorrow as Noah and Libby become bat mitzvah that she has made a decision I have never seen her make. And I've been here 11 years, so those of you with a longer tenure than me, let me know if you've ever seen it. Beth is homesick. I know, so we're going to name her on our healing list, and we are going to be led in prayer by Noah and by Libby, who, as I said, are becoming bat mitzvah. They are going to be leading our services tomorrow, and we thought, well, they're practically adults, so we're going to put them to work. And as you all know, Shir Tikvah, one of our main modalities of prayer, is song. And so today, on the day when our cantor can't be with us on a Friday night, we are so lucky that I am not leading you without musical accompaniment. Thank you for helping lead us. And what we are going to ask you to do is do what Shir Tikvah does so well, which is to lean into each other, to offer each other strength. Yep, you two physically did it. That'll be fine too. To offer each other strength and our voices and our companionships as we make our way into this Shabbat together. We're going to start with the words Hine Matov. They are on page 2 in your prayer books. How good it is to be together this Shabbat. Indeed, it is sweet to be together. For those for whom this is your Friday night home away from home, for those for whom this is your first time in our sanctuary, we are so delighted. For those of you joining us online, I would bet Beth is joining us online. I just think that about her. We are so glad to have you together in our community. A note about our community, we use the prayer books that are on the top 2 shelves. They're purple or maroon or red. If you have a blue prayer book, I'm going to really confuse you with page numbers by calling out pages in a different prayer book. And as we're pulling a switcheroo with our prayer books, it is an honor to invite Libby's immediate family and Noah's immediate family, because I know there's extended family here in celebration, up to kindle the lights of Shabbat. So you two are going to come over here. All right, you know how this works. You want to touch that? Okay, and each of you light 2 candles. Hi, you can stand there. You got it. So you're going to go up here, touch the wick. Let's do it this way. It's okay. No? So close, you think? All right. There you go. There you go. You got it. Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, mazel tov. We turn to pages 11 and 12. Lecha Dodi, written by the mystics in Tzfat, who thought that greeting Shabbat shouldn't be boring. It should be a dance. And they dressed in all white and they went out to the fields and they danced Shabbat in. And every time I see this cardinal, I think this is a she. I think she is dancing. She's a she, right? All right. That's, my zoology degree really comes in handy. And so we will sing stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9 of Lecha Dodi, welcoming Shabbat, taking time to let her enter into our sanctuary and our hearts. When we reach stanza 9, I'll gesture with my hands. It's an invitation to rise in body or spirit, to turn to the back of the sanctuary, where tradition says Shabbat enters, also to greet those members of our community who are joining us digitally. And I'm aware that Sarah, who has been joining us digitally from college, from her first semester of college, all fall, is here back in our sanctuary today, and how wonderful that is. Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, not sorry. Shamor v'zachor as we rise to welcome Shabbat, so too do we rise in the presence of a mourner the first time they enter into our sanctuary after a loss. And Becky, we are so keenly aware that this is your first time here, having lost your sister. I know that for those of us who gathered in your and Miriam's house just about 10 days ago, we heard so much of what made her sparkle in this world. And I know that later in our evening, we're going to get to share some of that sparkle in an oneg that's being hosted in her honor, in her joy of hospitality and of making food. And we want to offer you, and Miriam, you, these words of comfort for the loss, even while we enjoy the memories that you've allowed us to share with us. So please join me. These words are at the bottom of page 12 in your prayer book. They're on the screens as well. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God's presence comfort you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Remaining standing, we turn to page 15 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitkadosh Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra hirute v'yamli malhute b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'hayedecho Beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv v'imaru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitroma v'yinaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei Kedusha Brihu Le'ela Min Kol Birhata V'Shirata Tushbehata V'Nehemata Damiran Be'alma V'imaru Amen.
And led by these two incredible young humans in the words, Baruch Hu, dear one, we'll call each other home into this sanctuary of prayer. Bottom of page 17, we find the words that invite us to listen to the unity that holds all life interconnected and one. On days like today, on nights like tonight, where a community can come together in prayer, it is easy to stand in witness of the unity of our voices and our hearts. Please join us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. We continue on page 18 with the words of the V'ahavta, the instruction to live our days and our nights, our comings and our goings through acts of love. We'll chant the first paragraph on page 18, but put your finger in page 20. We'll jump directly to the second paragraph of page 20. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher Anochi mitzavcha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam livanecha, vidivarta bam, vishivtecha v'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shachpecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam leota yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot beinecha, uktavtam. Amizuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. At the bottom of page 21, we find the words Mi Chamocha, the words the Israelites sang when they crossed to freedom, words that celebrate redemptions of the past, words that pray for a time when all are free. Turn to page 25 as we say the words that prepare us to enter the Amidah, the series of blessings that are the heart of our service. We'll sing these first three blessings together in community and then take time for our own private prayers and reflections. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai Sifat Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Chonei Hakol, V'Zoher Hasei Avot Ve'imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'hava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mehalkel Haim Behesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somer Noflim Verotei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayei Menunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidon Elah, Melech Memit Umechayei, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Lechayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh. Since October 7th, in this sanctuary, we have prayed for those who were taken hostage on that first day of the terrible tragedy. In the 433 days since then, we have continued those prayers as a community. But we have expanded our prayers to include the circle of all those who are held hostage to the cycles of violence and death, the Palestinians who have lost their lives, the Israelis, people on every side of the border. And so we have offered words that were written over 1,000 years ago, words that ask that all be free. And I'd ask you to join me in these words. in this prayer. Our family, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress or in captivity, who stand either in the sea or on dry land, may the Omnipresent have mercy on them and take them out from trouble to blessing, and from darkness to light, and from oppression to redemption, now, swiftly, and soon. Amen. We are gathered in a community of prayer. We offer our communal awareness. We direct our energy to those who are in need of healing, praying for them for a refuah shlema, a complete healing, a healing of body, of mind, of spirit, a return to wholeness and hopefulness. I'll say the names of those who are on our community's healing list first. If you are joining us digitally, I invite you to add the names of your loved ones who you are praying for using the chat. And then we'll have an opportunity for those here in the sanctuary to name their loved ones out loud as well. We are praying for the healing of Shara Owens Schwartz, Marion Weisenfeld, Mark Zauderer, and Joan. Mark came out of quadruple bypass surgery this afternoon. Grant Taylor, Jim Penny, Steve Taven, Emily Sharon, Nate Sugarman, Dave Corbineau, Ken Doucette, Sarah Kianowski, Debbie Gilman, Neil Daniels Midman, Diana Sanders, Liliana Woolheim Martinez, Frank, Andy, Joyce, and Bert, Jeff Nagel, Gordon Bishop, Marcia M., Laura Bell, Jenny Vanderpool, Annie Graham and her family, Anya Kabel, Sue Boardman, Ayelet Gal Bat Chava V'her Shmuel, and Stanley Roth. If there is someone you are praying for whose name you'd like to say aloud in this sanctuary, please raise your hand.
Sarah Lutz, Ellie Potash.
Wayne Hoffman.
Sherry Epstein and Susan Miller.
Jenny Chase, Ellen Moss.
Nancy Stallman.
Amy Rose.
Beth.
Tara McHale, Kelly. Mary Combs and Kara Bowman.
Yes.
All right, you two. We turn to page 130, joining our voices together in prayer. We'll use the words on the right-hand side of the page.
Name
this week's, I thought about giving you a sermon and song, I'm not going to lie. But I decided to give you all a break by now. This week's Torah portion highlights a man who has spent his life trying to outrun the consequences of his actions. Jacob stole the birthright and the blessing from his older brother Esau, and with his mother's help, he ran to live with his uncle in a whole other country. He went far. And then, when he was living with his uncle, who he had escaped to, he stole the riches of his uncle's flock. And eventually, it gets noticed. And so, what does he do? He decides it's time to run away again, this time reversing course and returning home, leaving with everything he owns, his wives, his children, there's a lot of each of them, and packing up in the middle of the night. He even seems to have passed his habits along. His beloved wife, his favorite wife, Rachel, she stole the idols from her father's house on the way out. It seems like it's a bit of a pattern, let's just say. And given this pattern that has led us up to this week's Torah portion, of course, we read what happens differently because of what we've been through with Jacob. The text tells us that his uncle Lavan, who, by the way, followed them after they ran away in the middle of the night and said, "What were you doing? Did you not think I'd notice? And also, where are my idols?" He had a couple of questions overall, but he has finally sort of been talked down and has left the camp and returned to his home. So Jacob and his crew have just escaped one danger, and they turn to continue their journey. And as soon as they turn, Jacob hears that Esau and 400 men are approaching. So he's turned from one danger and appears to be walking smack into another. And what does Jacob do? What do you think he does? I thought he would run too, right? All right, I'll tell you what he does, and you can tell me what you think about it, okay? First thing he does is he takes half of all of those riches that he's gathered over all of his years of work, and he sends them ahead as presents. He sends them to his brother. Just sheep and goats and, name a farm animal. I'm sure it was being sent ahead. And half of his riches is a lot, right? And they are sent in waves. So the idea is as Esau approaches, he will hit wave after wave of gift, of wealth. And the people bearing that wealth are said to say, "This is a gift from your brother Jacob, who loves you and kind of hopes you don't kill him," right? And so you sort of get the sense that he is still moving forward, cautiously, let's say. And then he goes to sleep, and he wakes up in the middle of the night panicked, realizing that danger's probably still coming to him. And what does he do? He takes all of his family, his wives, his children, and he crosses the river with them. And he leaves them on one side, and he crosses back to the other side. And the text reads, "And so Jacob was left alone." And at that time, in that alone space, when Jacob has moved away from his family and sent all of his gifts ahead, he famously wrestles with a being on the riverbed. And if you want to hear an incredible Devar Torah about that, I invite you to tomorrow morning's bat mitzvah, because Noah has an amazing interpretation for it. So Jacob wrestles with this being. And we can, of course, interpret these actions of Jacob. When I first read the story, I thought, oh, good, Jacob finally learned. Right? He learned that he can't always get away with it and not face the consequences. He's going to give up his wealth, or at least half his wealth. He's going to protect his family by separating himself from them. We have a reformed Jacob in our Parsha. But some of the commentators actually think the opposite. The Rashbam thinks that when he is by himself on that riverbed at night, that it is a statement that he had intended to flee in a different direction so as to avoid facing the encounter with Esau. And the only reason he moves away from his family is because he likes fleeing in the middle of the night and not getting caught. So which is it? Is Jacob the man who has learned from a lifetime of misbehavior that sometimes you've just got to face the music? Or is he the man who's going to just keep running? Well, you got to keep reading in the text to find out. Because what happens during this wrestling is that Jacob holds on. He's wrestling with this being, and the being says, you gotta let me go. I gotta go. It's like time for this to be over, okay? But Jacob holds on to this being and says, I am not letting you go until you bless me. Until this is resolved. And the name he is blessed with is the name that this community carries, Israel. Those who wrestle with God, those who struggle for meaning and blessing and intention. And so by holding on, it seems that Jacob has forced a blessing from what could have been a moment of failure. But the thing about it is, it's not simple. The Bible rarely is. Because Jacob limps away. He walks away from this encounter forever changed. And a limp, as we said in Torah study last week, is a big deal in the ancient world. So for Jacob to walk away in the prime of his life, limping for the rest of his life, is to say that the encounter has changed him and has made him vulnerable. It isn't an uncomplicated thing to be in it for the long haul, whether you're following Jacob's journey or just living your life. We tend to look at the patterns that are set by decades, and we see the habits that define our lives. We seem to think we are defined by them. But this week, while reading this Torah portion, I was reminded that while patterns can help us to understand the behavior of the world around us and can make habits that make for quicker decisions, the meaning of each moment is far from predetermined. Even once that moment has passed, how we interpret it changes our experience dramatically. So many of the moments of our lives, so many of the years of our lives need to be painted in broad brushstrokes. I'll tell you that I'm a little emotional about these two becoming bat mitzvah, because they're the age of my older child, and we had our toddlers here together. And I can't believe how quick that decade went. And it's so fast. It's broad brushstrokes. It has to be, because there is so much to do. But this Shabbat, with this Parsha, we are invited to look for the moments whose interpretation could change the course of our lives, to revisit them, to interpret them anew, and perhaps, if we can, to wrestle a blessing from them, even if we walk away limping. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 44. Gathered in community, we feel the presence of those whose lives and love shaped our life, whose legacy we carry forward through our actions. I will say the name of those community members, friends, and families who are on our Mourners Kaddish list. I invite you who are joining us digitally to share your loved ones' names in the chat. And then there'll be a chance for those here in the sanctuary to say the names out loud of those who they are thinking of. This week, we are remembering Anne Rapkin, Hi, your sister-in-law, and she is being laid to rest tomorrow, as well as Nikki Giovanni. We are in the period of Shloshim for Becky, for your sister, for Louise, and we are thinking of her and thinking of you. And for Tom Lemons, the father of Elizabeth Lemons. It is the yard site of Lois Klein, the beloved aunt of Judy Fines, and Seth Silver, Sharon Solomon's cousin, Teresa Raisin, the wife of Dan, Alex Rhodes, the beloved father of Loretta Richard, Coleman Brown, Susan Brown Zimmerman's father, Phyllis Manco, Cliff, your mother, and Elizabeth Kuttner, Robin, your mother. In this year of remembrance, we are praying for Eileen Kleinkopf, the mother of Erica Kleinkopf, Kathy Nath, your beloved Kathy Ron, Pat Urich, the wife of Jeff, and Sivan Ehrlich, the daughter of Bonnie. If there is someone you are remembering, someone whose presence you feel in your heart and you'd like to say their name here in the sanctuary, please raise your hand.
My mother, Farrell.
My aunt Arlene Edelson and my dad, Frank Epstein.
My friend was O'Brien.
Mark. For those named, for those who have no one to say their names for them, we become one community of memory with the words of Mourners Kaddish. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yita dar, v'yita lev, v'yita lal, shemei de kudasha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and for all who dwell on earth, as together we say, amen. You may be seated. They decided I can't be trusted with the announcements. No, seriously. There is Torah study tomorrow happening at 10:30. There are two extraordinary human beings becoming bat mitzvah, one at 10 and one at 4, and we could not be more delighted or proud. And also, it's going to feel super easy because you just did it. So we are extraordinarily grateful for your presence here as well on this Shabbat. And seriously, the What's Happening came out on Thursday, so please check it for what else is happening this given weekend. We are going to join together up here in Kiddush and Motzi, and we want to just thank Becky and Miriam. Thank you so much, Becky, for honoring us and including us in the memory of your sister, Louise Ehrman, as this Kiddush is offered in her memory, in her honor, and of course in celebration of our two extraordinary bat mitzvahs, benot mitzvah technically. So I'm going to invite them back up to lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. You're not wearing a mask, so you do the Kiddush part. Ready? So just hold it up and we'll sing it together. Ready? It's a wine. I bet it is. I mean, that's a good response. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. You sure? Okay. Yeah, it's a good decision. Okay. Would you uncover the challah? Yep, pull. I invite you to lean a hand forward, create a chain of community and blessing leading up to these two extraordinary human beings as we join together in the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And can you rip? Mazel tov. Shabbat shalom, everyone. There's an extraordinary feast downstairs, one level.